Hey everyone, hope you all had a great day. It is March 29th, 2018. I've just been in sessions all day, just finally had a chance to make this video. Alright, so I'm going to make a quick video going over choosing sounds. Whether you're working with instrumentals or even, you're in a band, whatever the case may be. So the first concept that I'm going to go over is that sounds are vibes. And what I mean by that exactly is that sounds are bringing colors along with them. They're different types of textures. So whether it is dark music or happy music, it's club music, hip hop, whatever it is. The sounds that the artists that are either rapping on or singing, those the sounds are creating a vibe for them to perform on, and to write to, if that's the case. If they write their own music, a lot of times, a lot of artists I work with, a lot of the really good artists, writers I work with, they all tend to write lyrics that match the vibe of the music. That is the concept of capturing the musical feeling. You'll hear me say that often. Capturing the musical feeling. So, say you're making a heavy metal song. When you're selecting your tone for your guitar, you're going to be wanting to pick something out that's distorted, something that's dirty, something that is nasty, something that is chaotic, something that it sounds like noise. Because that is the type of energy you want to bring. That's the type of vibe you want to create. Chaos. Violence, that's the mosh pitting, the distorted guitars create that energy. Now, what creates emotion is rhythm. The way we speak, the way we play the piano or play the guitar, the way we connect notes together, that rhythm is what creates the emotion. So there's slow songs. Maybe that creates the vibe of a ballad. Someone singing slow kind of makes them sound like they're more in command, versus maybe if they're rapping fast but they still sound relaxed, they can still create the same kind of vibe. If you're rapping ahead of the beat, maybe you sound like you're rushing. The rhythm. So you could, even just speaking to people, you can see what kind of emotions they're dealing with based off of how they're speaking. If they're nervous, they might be rambling. They might be talking fast. If they're in control, they'll be taking their time speaking. And that's the same case with making music. If you play the guitar fast, but you take pauses between the riffs, that creates, that makes it seem like you're in control, versus if you're just all over the guitar neck, just playing notes randomly, not even in scale, it might not make sense, and it won't sound very musical. So now, the name of the game is combining vibes from the sounds that you choose with the rhythm that you play the music in. And you're combining that with music theory. Major chords and minor chords. And you play all other chords. There's diminished chords, augmented chords, seventh chords, ninth chords. There's a lot. But the basic is major and minor. Now, when you're choosing sounds, often it's good, even me, when I'm making beats, a lot of times I'm not even going in with any type of idea at all what I want to create. I'm trying to go in with as an empty canvas. I'm trying to go in with a blank mind, and whenever I start cycling through the different patches on my keyboard, as I'm hitting the keys, listening to what the sound is, something's gonna click that I really like. And it's not something I'm gonna have to think about. It's something I feel in my gut. I'm like, all right, cool. I just know. So then from there, I move on and I start experimenting with the scales, trying to find some type of rhythm that I like, or maybe some type of chord progression. Maybe I'll come up with the chord progression first, and then from there I'll break it into more, like, to have more rhythm and create a different type of emotion. Once I have that, maybe I'm not exactly satisfied with the sound, but I was being guided to first come up with the melody. So then from there I'll actually start cycling through the sound again as I'm playing it, trying to find a better sound. A good tip, by the way, is once you start looking for a sound, you should just start recording the whole time. I'll record 30 minutes of audio sometimes, and then, and I'll capture a bunch of different takes in that 30 minutes of audio, and then I'll chop them all up, and I'll have a bunch of different audio files to choose from. Now, I know a lot of musicians, music producers, beat makers use MIDI. I prefer using audio. Personally, recording it live, just because I feel like it gives it more of a human feel, and it also made me step up my game as a musician and get better at playing with rhythm on time and to a metronome. But you can still go through that process even using MIDI. Just record 30 minutes of MIDI straight, and then even through that, you could then after just cycle through the sounds, and you might come up with crazy melodies in that 30 minutes. So you'll have a bunch of different stuff to edit. So it's a win-win either way. So now when you're looking for sounds, I keep talking about these vibes. What are these vibes? Think of the main theme song of that Netflix show, Stranger Things. That dark, almost ominous, mysterious bass synth that is the lead sound in that. It's like an analog 80s vintage sounding synth for the theme song. Now, that sound creates that whole vibe. It creates the whole vibe. The melody and what it's playing is cool too, but the tone of it is what really creates it with the rhythm. So now, another example would be, let's see. Yeah, I have to listen to more music. Let's see. What have I listened to recently on the radio? Oh, okay. It's not too new anymore, but last summer or 2 summers ago, Bruno Mars had that song, 24K Magic. The sounds that they chose for that were all bright sounds. And the rhythm that they played in was fun. It was a upbeat song, first off. And they really brought back the vintage style of the 70s, the 80s, or early 90s. They kind of really brought that back, that funk. And, all those tonal qualities that the producers chose for that song, I'm assuming they were keeping in mind songs of those past decades and those past generations, trying to emulate and re-embody those kind of vibes. So, something very important to always think about if you're working with trap songs, maybe you want to try to find hard-hitting brass. You want to maybe find something that sounds mean, something that sounds aggressive. If you're looking, maybe you're going to use strings, same thing, something that sounds sharp, something that sounds bright, whatever the case may be. Maybe the rappers that you're working with are making a track about money or whatever. So maybe you want to be looking for sounds that feel green, right? Money. What about if you're working with a jazz singer or a jazz musician, a jazz band, and they need you to help produce the song for them and write the song for them? And as well as, sound design. You're going to be wanting to hear sounds that sound more smooth maybe, or sound more smoky. Maybe sound, you want to be, something I do a lot of times when I'm making songs, definitely, I probably do this more than I realize, is I paint pictures in my mind. And then I guess I'm kind of creating those images with sound. So if I'm working with that jazz band with that in mind, maybe I'm going to paint a setting. and then I'm going to be trying to have the musicians recreate those kind of vibes that I'm picturing it with my imagination. Contrast is another really important aspect of songwriting, as well as even just your choosing the sounds that you're working with. Say we go back to trap, and we found this orange, yellow sounding, definitely hard sounding, metallic brass, right? A brass instrument, and it's doing some like brum, 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 something like that, right? My best impression. So what we will want to do to contrast that is maybe, and this is why you probably hear pizzicato strings often in it, not just because it's symphonic, but also because the light, airy plucking of the pizzicato strings is a nice complement for more of aggressive low tones. Contrast between light, airy, and high tones, low, aggressive tones. Just like you could do the opposite. You could get light, watery feeling pads for the low end, and then maybe you get like hard, bright, shimmering type bell sounds for the high end. And same with the mid-range, you know, experiment with the mid-range, what you do with that. Often I like to leave a lot of room in the mid-range open for the vocalist. Now, what else can I talk about? Cool, I'll talk about some different ways to experiment quick. You can, how I was talking about with contrast between the low end or the high end and trying to, you know, bring out different colors. So say the bass is kind of red, you want to be kind of maybe using a lighter color to contrast in the high end, right? Well, also there's this the idea of ascending melodies are kind of like a sunrise, and descending melodies are kind of like a sunset. Well, what if you can get a descending melody to sound more like a sunrise? So maybe picking out bright colors to re-lift up what is sonically is going down the scale. Vice versa. Maybe using something that would sound like it's going up the scale, but using a really dark, gloomy sound to contrast that. Just like in a cool idea about major minor theory with chords. You know, major tends to sound brighter, happy, joyful. Minor tends to sound maybe sad, dark, aggressive, depending on how you play it, right? Well, what if you make major sound dark? Or what if you could get minor to sound bright? These are things to think about and try to experiment with in your free time with your beats. So again, when you're choosing sounds, be conscious of the timbre of it. Timbre is what I've been talking about this whole time. It is the sound quality that makes one instrument different from the next instrument. Alright, so while you're choosing sounds, pay attention to the vibe and go with your intuition. You know, usually what you feel first, just act off that. If you find yourself trying to find a sound for an hour, just stop, restart, do it again. I restart after, if I'm not into the beat within 10 minutes, I'm going to restart it. I'll just X out and I'll just restart it. Even if I didn't do anything, that's just how I work. So it's like, all right, brand new, cool. Well, all right, so yeah, today we talked about going over sounds, choosing sounds. I'll be putting up the next video soon. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, feel free to give it a like, comment, and as well as share. Thank you.